So I thought I'd take a little video to try and explain something. I was talking to someone today about the meaning behind tattoos. Well, the meaning behind was focusing mainly, or I guess I was talking specifically about Japanese tattoos and the meaning behind them and some things that are inside them. But what I failed to mention was that the meaning behind things it's not specific to Japanese tattoos. It's the meaning behind things applies to everything that you draw and everything that you create, especially with tattooing, because as a tattooer, it's not only your job to design, but it's your job to effectively create something that invokes emotion that goes beyond just an image. It gives the tattoo or the design a spirit, so to speak. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about a design that wasn't Japanese. And explain my thought process throughout the whole thing, to sort of explain in a light detail as to what I'm sort of getting at when it comes to meaning. So, the tattoo meaning, it's not about what it means in a encompassing sense. It's about what's inside it, I guess, so to speak. So, a girl wanted theatre masks. The old Happy and Sad theatre mask. It actually comes from a Freddie Negretti design that he drew whilst he was in prison. Fuck, I'll turn this camera around. It comes from a Freddie Negretti design that he drew while he was in prison, which is sort of where a lot of, pretty much all Chicano black and grey comes from. That's why black and grey has it's smooth shading, all single needle, no colour, and the reason that black and grey tattooing or real classic style black and grey looks the way it does is because of not so much the subject matter, but also the technique and the thought process, as any tattoo. And Freddie Negretti, I think I remember watching him talk about it. He was saying that he saw there was like a theatre event that was going on within the prison, and he saw these two theatre masks that were depicted on this poster that was hanging in the common room or wherever it was hanging. And he saw that. He was like, "Oh, that's fucking cool. What if I did that and if I was to put lettering with it, what about laugh now, cry later?" And that was cool. That became a thing. That one design that one guy thought about became a thing. Not because of how well he drew it or how cleanly he tattooed it. It was the poetry he put behind it that made those theatre masks look the way they did, or it gave it something more. It gave it something human, effectively. Which is why the laugh now, cry later motif is so common now. It's because of how fucking cool it was. And this customer wanted a similar sort of thing. She wanted Day of the Dead makeup on these masks. It's just way too much for a tattoo of this sort of size. It just makes it messy, doesn't heal very fucking well, and it's also just a unnecessary mixture of different motifs that mean literally nothing. And especially with Day of the Dead makeup, it's Latino American heritage. So to use someone else's culture and stick it on a design because you like the look of it is fucking stupid. It's fake. And we don't do fake, we do real. So, anyway, what I'm drawing for now, I scrapped the idea of the Day of the Dead makeup because it has no relevance to what we're drawing. And I was thinking quite a lot about Freddy's design, Laugh Now, Cry Later, with theatre masks, and this customer wanted pretty lady faces instead of your weird, ghostly theatre masks. So the way that I started this drawing, just like any tattoo design, you always want it to meld together. So my simple baselines, or the way that I thought of the composition, were S-curve. An S-curve is the best way to create any design with flow, no matter what it is. I use the same thing for dragons, for lettering, literally anything you can possibly think of. You want it to flow in an S-curve, because the human body always flows in S-curves. If you have an arm that's pointing, say you've got a finger and a thumb there. That's a hand and an arm. S-curves. So if you're designing a tattoo for the arm, flows in S-curve. The rib cage, you've got that collarbone goes up to the neck, and you've got the arm. Let's chop that arm off there so you can see the back of that. S-curve. It's all S-curves. So any design that I do starts out with an S-curve. This one in particular, you can see that the way that this is arranged, when I mapped out the faces, I started with my S-curve. So I figured if there was a face there, which is that there, chin goes down that way, follow that S-curve. The other face sits under there. The chains that go on the bands that go on the side from the masks, that way, and the opposite ones are that way. S-curve. What the S-curve does is it creates a balance. Asymmetrical balance. So they both flow with the same direction, but they oppose as they change. So, most of you know, if you start with an S-curve like that, if you flip it around and look at it upside down, it's the same curve. Even though you flipped it, same curve. So you're creating an asymmetrical shape that is the same on both sides, which creates a sense of balance. And balance is absolutely essential when you're designing tattoos, because it has to fit and not look geometric. So I started with the S-curve, and if we're going into meaning, I'll start explaining the thought process behind the meaning. Obviously, you've got the Laugh Now, Cry Later. I was initially, my thought was initially to put the happy face on top, because when I think of happy, it's up. Sad is down. So usually you would put the happy one up, bottom one down. There's a meaning. So it's putting a happy face on the top and a sad face on the bottom. You've already got a deeper meaning to happy and sad. There's something within the positions as to what it's meant to convey. However, there is a big thing that when you know the rules, that's when you can break the rules and you can play with the rules. So In this sense, I thought if I was to have the sad face, the sad theatre mask crying, the tears would, like, if I had the sad face crying from here, the tears would fall down that way. But I wanted the tears from the sad crying face to be involved with the happy face, and I can't do that with putting it on the top because they're meant to be connected. Same as the S-curve, it's connected. It's the same, you flip it upside down, it's the same thing. They're two parts of the same thing, positive and negative, etc., etc. So I wanted the tears to be falling onto the happy face because I thought it was ironic. It's ironic, and it's also, I guess you'd call it poetic, a little bit. That there's a happy face with tears all over it from the sad one. I played with the ribbons a little bit as well because they're masks. We can't do hair, so and hair's really important whenever you're doing lady faces, or whenever you're trying to invoke some sort of sense of beauty, because hair flows, hair changes, and it gives the hair gives the impression of wind, of an atmosphere that sits around it. If you were to draw a lady face that had sitting hair like that, or just straight down, we saw enough fucking emo photos in the early 2000s to realize that it looks flat and fucking stupid. So with hair, it's really important to put with depictions of humans, because hair will add background. It will add atmosphere, and it'll add something. Because when we think about the way that hair moves, it only moves with the wind, and it's a way of drawing wind without drawing wind. If you want to draw a breeze, how do you draw a breeze? You can't see it. You have to draw something that blows in the breeze, and then you know that there's a breeze there. So there's another thought process as to what's inside a design that goes beyond just depicting the image. It depicts an atmosphere. Because I couldn't draw hair because they're masks, I thought it would be cool to use the bands or the ribbons that attach the mask to the face as the hair. So I've had that flow in the same direction as I sort of would here. From my general sketch, it may look like braids, or this almost looks like hair, but it's actually ribbons. With the sad face, instead of doing ribbons, I decided on chains, because if it's a sad face, it's meant to invoke this emotion of despair or disdain, and I don't think ribbons depict that. So I don't think ribbons were appropriate for this, so I picked a chain, and I think they fit quite well. Nice and dense, it separates that from that, but they're both flowing the same way. That was my thought process behind that. With the happy face down here, I've obviously done ribbons that will, flow into things. And this is all just like a very rough sketch, so I'm still thinking about how this is all going to be composed and playing with different things. As you can see, I've corrected directions and placements of lettering and X, Y, and Z here. Now, as I was saying earlier with the Freddy Negretti original design that had Laugh Now, Cry Later, I felt like adding lettering to this was important, because the poetic meaning of the lettering will play on the expressions here and put these expressions into context, which again gives these expressions meaning. And again, with breaking the rules, instead of doing because I couldn't do the Laugh Now up here and the Cry Later down here, because it was meant to be happy and sad, flipping it. We've done the cry now, laugh later, which inspired another thought process. And I figured if I've written cry now, laugh later, to have the tears running down the face of this mask here and sort of dropping onto this other face, and having this face with the tears of the sad face streaming down. Not too much. I did play around with the idea of one sitting on her tongue, but it ends up just looking like she's fucking drooling, which is not what you want. Otherwise I would have called it laugh now, be a fucking dumb cunt later. All for that, but that's not what we're going for here. Which again ties in the image where you see the tears falling down and dripping down the face of the happy mask. Cry now, laugh later, which I guess sort of emphasizes the idea that once tears are shed, and they're all over your face, you can still laugh at them all over there. So that was my thought process with this, which I think with tattoo meaning, this isn't something that already means something. It's not a design that says in a book, this tattoo means this, which is what people are looking for or chasing. The meaning that comes from this tattoo is the thought and emotion behind it, and what it means to you. I guess, or to convey that meaning. With tattooers or illustrators, to draw something or illustrate something perfectly is great, but to give it something human is what gives it meaning. And the only way that we can make things human is by fucking with them, and by putting something inside the tattoo, I think. And that's what I'm going for here. I'm trying to put something deep, something poetic, and something inside this tattoo, which goes beyond the image you see. It goes into how I personally think and feel. And the ability to think and feel separates a musician, for instance, from someone who plays cover songs to someone who writes beautiful songs. And the only beautiful music that we love and we listen to, or anything that's made, has raw emotion behind it. That's what makes it beautiful. So the inside meaning of this particular drawing is not so much about the illustration. It's about why it is this way. So yeah, it's just a rough sketch at the moment. We're going to tinker away with it a little bit, and then do a final copy of that one for the customers tomorrow, and see if she likes it. If not, I'll tattoo it on someone else. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Episode 1 of The Grumpy Tattoo Cunt. Stay toxic. Bye.